I don't know why. I really like that tune. Dun, 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 dun. Woo! Okay, okay, okay. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. Welcome, welcome, welcome to this broadcast. Welcome. My name is Ngozi Cadmers, mental health and leadership expert. So we're getting right into it. So I want to review a video by a married couple called the Perrys. Well, that's their surname. I can't remember their first names now. Oh, Jackie Hill Perry and Preston Perry. They've been married for quite a while. I've known of them for a very long time. So I want to review their video on friendship that came out recently because I think it was a fantabulous video that really broke down platonic relationships. Because I think when we hear about a lot of relationships, it's always romantic. But our first relationship is platonic. Our first relationship is meant to be familial, is meant to be our families, is meant to be the relationship with your mother, your father, your siblings, your cousins, your extended family, your grandparents, you know, or if everything happens as it should, ideally you would have your mother, your father, you will have siblings, you will have cousins, you will have grandparents, you know, you have an extended village around you and you're building relationships with each person, um and really understanding and giving you the equipment and the foundation of what it would be when you become an adult and you have to navigate the adult life and build all these different types of relationship from your co-workers, to, you know, friends and colleagues and business partners and romantic relationships, etc., etc. So let's get straight into it. But the first bit, I just think it's really funny. I'm going to let it play. But the first bit you're going to see, however, you are going to see, um, you are going to see a bit that she asked her husband a question about being a single, being an only child, and how does that manifest itself in marriage? And I feel like this is really how it manifests in marriage with my husband because I'm an only child and he came from a big family. Ready? Are you ready?
Stuff. Why would you ask such a crazy?
So,
Oh, let's not talk about this stuff.
let's see. Can we do it?
Oh, doing.
Wow, I don't like when you do that.
You like what I steal your slogan?
It's not yours. It belongs to me. Do you feel like me growing up as an only child makes me like a bad wife?
Oh, let's not talk about this stuff. Why would you ask such a crazy question?
It came to my mind.
No, why would you?
What are some of the advantages you think of me growing up alone and how it's served me in life?
People who listen might think we playing this, but this was really random.
No, it literally just came to my mind.
What are some advantages of
Like,
you
how do you think
growing
me
up
growing up by myself has actually served me?
served you? I think that it's allow you to know how to sit and quiet. I think it's benefit in that of not always having to talk and not always having to be doing something with someone. Because I mean, Eden has an issue. Eden has the same issue that I have. It's like
Yeah, she
not
she literally can't be alone.
can't be alone. And like everybody don't always.
But what's funny is me and yeah, this is something I have to unpack in another video because this element of being an only child and my husband being amongst siblings, he was the only boy. So in his mind, he also feels to a degree that that he was an only because he's an only boy. So only boys understand. Sometimes even only girls. So you could be an only girl amongst brothers. There is a level of only, right? Because you're the only gender of that, you know, only sibling of that gender. And he said he didn't really like people; he liked animals. He was a very odd child growing up, which his siblings or confirm that's how it was. So he actually wasn't that type of child that liked to be around people. He actually prefers not to be around people. So he had to learn in adulthood that it don't run like that. You do have to engage with people. So it isn't that because he grew up in a sibling, lots of siblings, that he craves, like, he likes to be around people. So it just shows you different dynamics and different nuances. Just because you are an only child doesn't mean you're going to be like every only child. There is an only child syndrome, and it is like symptoms or, certain behaviors and characteristics that can be ascribed to only children, but you're not going to fit everything. And in this situation, I can be by myself because I spent a lot of time on my own, and I can be amongst people as well.
Have to like entertain you.
Right.
Like Autumn want to just play with her Barbie down, her penny, go upstairs and wait till she want to play with you.
But I can do that a lot. Like, I like to read. That's like one of my favorite pastimes. So like sometimes I do feel like I have to choose between reading and being with people, but I've learned that people find it rude. So because people find it rude, I choose to engage with people. But sometimes I would prefer to actually read my book. I would prefer to just read my book without having to engage with people. But we live in a social world, so you got to engage.
Yeah.
That's all you have. Wow.
I mean, this is like
I can hear you like saying, "Oh, there's nothing else."
Nah, you can't be saying that. But it is like a random question. Like, what you want me to do with that? Like, what are some benefits of me growing up with siblings?
Oh, you see how you moved on to you that fast?
Yeah, maybe I can think about some stuff.
I don't know.
See, I had more than you.
well, maybe you share.
What? You answered that like a 4-year-old. You share.
You.
I was like, what?
No, when we met, I remember how like liberal you were with your stuff. Like it wasn't. You didn't have to consider or think about sharing. To me, I have to, not anymore because I got kids and I'm married and stuff. But before, I used to have to really like process.
Nah.
Oh, they want something I have.
Nah.
I'm telling you, this is now where the only child thing is. She talks about it. Well, what she basically talks about, is the fact that growing up, you have the fridge to yourself. Like, the fridge is me and my mum's. Really, growing up, if my mum was the same size as me, I literally would have worn everything that she wore, right? I think that's probably the only thing I couldn't do. But everything she had was mine. Now, there was things I didn't touch. There's things you don't touch your mama's. Hey, don't touch your mummy's things. But generally speaking, food, there wasn't a situation where I'm sharing it with another person. So that is the one area you will see my only child like characteristics come out. So if even now, like if I buy a chocolate bar, she talks about that, or I buy food and you want my food, I don't mind you eating it. I don't always offer. So, but I offer now because I know that's what you need to do. You need to offer. Like, if I buy food, do you want? In my head, I'm like, yeah, please, guys. Don't want it, yeah? Don't want it. I would rather spend additional money buying you the same meal than you take from my food, because I feel like that's my food. That's my food. I don't mind taking from yours though, because do you know what I mean? That's just how it is. I take from yours. And I don't mean it in that selfish way. I'll take from yours, but I don't have the same process in taking from yours in the same way, because food was just always available for me to eat in that sense of I wasn't sharing it. At the same time, I wouldn't just take from somebody's food because I'm only child. It's not that I'm not that unaware of other people's boundaries and stuff, but I don't process it in the same way. So where some people are more readily, do you want? Like they like before they eat, do you want? I don't do that, but you can have if you want it. But I would actually rather buy you an extra pair of chips. Like, can you just leave my chips alone, please?
Like, why?
I always used to tell you the first time, like, I asked you for a piece of your Snicker. We were friends, and you was like, I can buy you one. I was like, she had one of those long joints. This was when Snickers first started like separating the two Snickers inside the package. And I'm like, she got one of them long joints and I'm hungry. I forget where we was at, but I was like,
we had just left a legacy meeting.
Yeah. I'm like, well, I just can't get a piece of your Snicker. He was like, I can buy you one, but this is my Snicker. And it was very logical. And I was like, wow.
No, and I wasn't even trying to be selfish. It just didn't register to me that you should have what I have. Like, it's like you can literally you should get your own.
That's the only child.
No,
stuff.
it is. It's like,
that is. I don't borrow books. So if someone says, can I borrow your book? And I'm like, I can buy you the book. No, I can borrow. No, please. Honestly, I will buy you the book. I don't borrow books. I don't know what it, like, even to my mum. My mum has asked for books, like I buy her the same book. I don't know. I think, and yeah, that's partly an only child, and it's partly growing up, people losing your books. And sorry, books are they're my legacy to my children. Yeah, the same people are giving their jewelry, people giving their jewelry and all of that, and giving my books. Okay, my books are the legacy I'm passing down to my children's children. These are years of reading. Reading saved my life to a degree. So it's important to me. I can't just give my book like that. I can buy you the book though.
When you're an only child, everything in the fridge, like when your mama went grocery shopping, it was for you. Like everything she bought was for you. Everything in your room is yours. There is no.
Didn't you say though when we were dating, or I don't know if we were dating or when we first got married, like I shared something with you, and you was like, I think you said this is like
no, I think it was a Snicker.
It was a Snicker.
Yeah,
yes,
like,
it was.
But you like that's what I mean. Like you were so like liberal with it.
What was it? You said like that's when you found out I was nice or something.
Oh, that wasn't when I found out she was nice. It was when we were texting and you said something nice.
Oh, okay. I'm confusing stories.
Yeah, but
yeah. Anyways, but this actually is a good segue into what we're talking about because we were friends,
hey.
and we had to learn how to be friends.
Yeah.
You know,
you ain't got nothing else. Yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah. I didn't grow up in church. So yeah.
Threw you off. Getting excited. You're supposed to rev up.
Right. What am I supposed to do next?
So we're talking about the hard work of friendship. Because I mean, I think sometimes we don't use that adjective when it comes to friendships. Like we think it's bad to have to work for a friendship. And I think in some ways it can be.
Yeah.
But I think in some ways it's necessary.
I've never had the attitude to work. Think it's bad to work for a friendship. I think maybe what she's alluding to and what she's going to say further is that friendships that are difficult unnecessarily and doesn't lead to a productive end, doesn't lead to a meaningful end, doesn't lead to growth, ain't great. If you're fussing and fighting with a friend and it's not leading to growth, there's no growth, it's more of a constrainer, it's more of it sucks you, then I would definitely say it's probably not productive, it's not healthy. But maybe there is an attitude of friendship, you know. I think things put on social media is not real but real. Does that make sense? People say a lot of things on social media. It doesn't always reflect real life, but it does because people are putting what they feel, right? But I think when it comes to friendships, I'm seeing the algorithm push out topics on friendship a little bit more. That's why I'm really passionate about talking about all relationships, not just romantic, because our first relationship isn't romantic. Now, unfortunately, some people's first relationship is a violation.
Necessary.
Yeah.
Because I think any real relationship requires work.
Facts.
Not all relationships require work.
Yeah.
And some of those relationships might be seasonal.
Yeah.
But so I guess we can talk through, how do you know when a relationship is requiring work that's not worthwhile?
Yeah.
How do you discern that? What kind of work should we put into maintaining and cultivating our friendships? And what is the point?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Because I think it's a difference between having a friendship that drains you and having a friendship that it's a little difficult at times, but you can see at the end of the road, you can see this person still will be a benefit to me. And so I think it's a difference, because I think sometimes we say, oh, I don't want a friendship that's hard, that, you know, that's difficult, and we want all friendships that's easy. But typically the easiest friendships don't have depth.
Yeah.
And so so if it's easy, it's gonna be really surface, and it's not really, you know, y'all have like little artificial things that y'all bond over, but it's not gonna be anything with significant depth.
So I like what he said. It's about friendships that are worthwhile rather than worthless. Yeah, friendships that are worthwhile rather than worthless. And how do you determine that? How do you determine worthwhile friendships? Because if you've got a bad picker in romantic relationships, I guarantee that you have a bad picker in your friendships. Let me tell you the truth. Anybody here that can tell me that the last 3-4 relationships haven't gone right and it's the guy's fault or the girl's fault, you probably haven't got good friends around you. I don't understand how you could pick good friends but not pick good relationships, because the same foundational qualities are needed in both. The same foundational qualities that you need is the same in every relationship. They just have different elements to it because of the different relationship they are. A good relationship with your parents is one built on trust, one built on intimacy, one built on mutuality, on reciprocity. It's the same thing built with friendships. It's the same thing to a degree built with your colleagues. Though there's depth and there's shallowness. The same bit with your business partner. The same with your employer. Every relationship, be it hierarchical, be it parallel, vertical, whatever the relationship is, has the same foundational qualities. It's just the elements of the relationship is different. If it's romantic, if it's platonic, if it's whatever. So that being that the case, if you are meeting untrustworthy dates, right? If you are entering into a relationship and you cannot trust the person that you're with, or they cheat on you, or they're unavailable, or they're highly anxious, having a highly anxious attachment style, mean that they're constantly quite clingy, quite needy, they're very insecure, or they're very avoidant, where it means that they're kind of withdrawn, aloof. Let me tell you, you have that somewhere in the relationships around you that you're building. I see it time and time again. Secure people have secure relationships all around. Insecure people have insecure relationships all around. Avoidant people have avoidant relationships all around. It's just that simple. Now, of course, there are nuances. You could be fortunate, and there are exceptions to the rule. But the generality is that if your picker is wrong or not good in your romantic side, it is very likely that your picker is not good in all other parts of your relationship.
And so, like, I found out that the friendships that I had to work for, were the most beneficial friendships in the end.
I think it's helpful to explain a little bit, because by work, what we don't and what I don't mean is I'm working to make you my friend.
Yeah.
That's not what I mean.
No,
like
no.
If I got to work to make you a friend, that's weird. I'm grown. Like, why are we doing that? But what I mean is working to build intimacy in the friendship. And I think sometimes we think about intimacy primarily in terms of romantic relationships.
Yeah.
But friends should be intimate too. I should know you.
Yeah.
I should be sensitive to what hurts and what you like and what joys you have and all the things. Like, we shouldn't just have like surface level friendship.
I love that. So yeah, I had to drop a couple of friends last year. Let me not even call them friends, but I had to drop a couple of people that I met recently last year, because I felt like I was trying to force a friendship, because what I knew of what a friendship should be, it wasn't reciprocal, and I didn't want to enter into 2023 in that, right? But it was sad because we had an amazing organic connection, and at the moment that I met them, we all thought we could really be friends. But I realized that we could have, if it was a different time period. If maybe 3-4 years ago, maybe. At the point that I was, no. Yeah, where I was going, no. But what's amazing is that we support each other. We still send each other love on social media. So it's not a bad it is not a relationship that ended badly. It's a relationship that we mutually agreed that we cannot continue forward to build a friendship, right? So relationship takes work to build intimacy, to build trust, to build understanding, to build a complementary kind of relationship, right? And I think that's important. Every successful relationship has taken some level of work to maintain it and to achieve that. Point blank simple. You can't just skate your way into this kind of amazing relationship. The same way any married couple will say, it takes work. It takes work in friendships as well.
Now, I do think that some friends should exist that way. Like, I have some friendships, if we want to call it that, where we go out to eat and we dialogue, but if I'm going through something, I'm not going to call you.
Yeah.
Like, you're not that person.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah.
Like, do you categorize your friendships like I do?
Okay, so I love this bit, because I don't know if it's a male or female thing, if females more likely categorize than men. And I think there could be an element to that, because a lot of men are just like, no, we don't do that. But I know personally, I have categories of friends. And yeah, everyone's categories are different, right? So some people have their best friend, and then you may have one best friend or 2 or 3 best friends, Some people have best friend every single day, it changes as the wind blows. But I have my core friends, and some of my core friends are not friends I speak to all the time. They're core because when I've been very depressed, I've called them. If I needed money, I would call them, but I wouldn't call them. I'd probably go to my mum first. I'll go to my husband first. Just remember, there's levels before I'd even get to friends. But after I've gone through my parent, my mum, my husband, his family, then the fellowship. After that would be friends, and then that would be that, right? So I'm fortunate I've got that buffer. But if, let's say, I didn't have all of that, I would go to them. Likewise, they can go to me to borrow, money and stuff like that. Then outside of that, I've got good friends. They're good friends. That they're friends that they always support me, and I always support them. I'll go to their birthday, they come to my birthday. They support everything that I'm doing, but they're not people that I call upon if I'm in dire need. Likewise, I know they wouldn't call upon me in dire need, but I will be part of the people. If they're doing a intimate gathering for their birthday, I'll be part of the intimate gathering, right? So I always say like this: if you got to choose your top 5, they wouldn't be my top 5, but they'll be my top 10, top 15, right? And I think that will be quite similar to them. I may not be in their top 5. So if they were told they can only bring 5 people to their birthday party, I may not be in that 5, but they got to bring 10 people, I'll be in that 10 people. That's the demarcation. And then outside of that, it's just people that I know. I'm a very friendly person, and I'm a very deep and depth substance person. So when I speak to you, I'm always in depth. I'm not shallow. So I give the same level in that moment to anybody I'm speaking to, whether we're close friends or not friends. And because I'm very friendly, I'm aware that some people might see me much closer to them than that they are to me. Also because I'm a therapist and I understand how to talk to people as well. But I think that most of my friends at whichever level should know what level they're in, because we mention it, like, when you say, you're the only 2 people I can talk to, or you're the only 3 person, or if I was da-da-da-da. So when people say those things, they're basically saying to you, you are part of my core group. They don't go, you're my part of my core group, you're my inner circle, and you're my inner circle. We don't say that, but we give words of endearment, and we say things to each other that let us know where we're at in that kind of circle, or where we're at in that category.
I don't even know if I do it consciously.
Mhm.
I rock with the people that I rock with on a close
I do it consciously.
intimate level because we built that natural chemistry.
Right.
And I think that, like the people that I'm friends with, they kind of fall into categories just naturally.
Mhm.
I don't like, oh, you the second tier friendship and you're the first tier and you're C. Like I don't.
Yeah, it happens organically. Yeah, but you're aware of it. So I think that what he's saying is that he's not consciously conscious of the fact that he's got categories. But as he's been asked the question, yeah, he's conscious now in this moment as he's talking about it that he does have categories. But in the moment, you're not thinking, I'm going to my inner circle, I'm going to my outer circle, I'm going to my inner circle. Yeah, I'm not. That's not the case, right? I'm different just because when you had therapy, for the length of time that I've had it, you're conscious about so many things. So I'm conscious about a lot of things that people are not conscious about until they're asked direct questions about it.
I don't necessarily do that,
Yeah.
but I do think that that I have been very intentional in identifying what I feel like I need in a particular season, and I've grown. And this is a lot of therapy, of saying, man, I think me and you being friends,
Christians need therapy too.
will benefit me, and I think I could benefit you, and I would like to be a friend. Like
But
literally,
you'll say it.
like literally vocalizing that the last couple of years, because I think that I'm just getting older, and it is never like to try to force a friendship. It's some type of relationship that's already established.
Right.
But I kind of feel like, man, like maybe time or maybe whatever that's causing us not to go deeper. Maybe we need to go deeper. Maybe I feel like the Lord is laying on my heart for me to go deeper with this person. So I'll vocalize it.
Yeah, I think some relationships require.
I love that, vocalizing it. See, I believe, right, that every single relationship needs to be renegotiated. Every single at intervals. Every single relationship should have a beginning date. What I mean is, I know people have different romantic relationships. They'll say, oh, we just happened like that. But generally speaking, when you come together romantically, there was a point in time when you say, I think we should pursue this further. When you get married, before that, you proposed. There is a negotiation of relationship. This is a boyfriend and girlfriend. We want to get to the next level, which is fiance, then to the next level, which is marriage. There is a negotiation. You could really say that every point that there is a let's go forward and enter into this level of relationship is a negotiation of the contracts, the terms, of the conditions, all of the stuff, right? We need that in friendship. We need negotiation. I don't know why we don't do that in friendships. But I know why we don't do it in friendships. We don't do that in friendship because friendships are so dynamic that they're because we don't value friendships in societies the way we should do, or all relationships that we should do. We kind of take for granted that the level of work you put in to maintain your marriage, you need to put in to your friendship. That's the reason why you won't have many friends, because the level of work that you put into your marriage, you probably can only do that maximum 5 times, if that, right? Because it takes work, it takes an investment, it takes selflessness. See, the thing about friendships, we don't want to be honest, is that it takes sacrifice and it takes selflessness, right? You have to lower your defenses, because you might have a situation where your friend tells you you're not there for me, and you're not there for them. They don't feel you're there for them. There's no, but I'm sorry I wasn't there for you. My bad. How can I be there for you next time? Then what you do, if you feel like, but you're constantly telling me I'm not there for you when I'm feeling like I'm unable to attain this expectation. I ain't your husband or your wife. Like, what you're seeking from me, I don't think is healthy. Hasn't got to be in the same moment that they bring up that you're not there for them. You then say, okay, can I speak to you in the next week or so and say, this is the third time you've done this over a period of time, and I actually think it's unfair, but I had to gather my thoughts and consider this. Something is going off where you're feeling like I'm not there for you, and I feel like I am there for you, and I'm never enough for you. Do you see what I'm trying to say? And it could be something to do with both your psychologies that are meshing in that way that needs to be undergone in therapy, right? Separately, people should be doing some friendship counseling, honestly. It's so interesting that we invest so much in romantic relationships, which we should, but friendships are lasting longer than marriages, but we're not investing the same energy in them. Even with families last longer than some marriages. You meet this person, your family don't agree, you marry this person, you maybe even last 10 years, you divorce this person, your family's still around. We don't invest the same energy that we do in our relationships with our spouses that we should. I think we should also, not necessarily not on an equal level, but we should also invest in our other relationships, definitely before we get married. Because obviously once you get married, you've got a totally different sets of priorities. So it is hard now to say, let me invest in certain relationships that I probably could have done that before marriage, before I entered into a covenant.
What's the word? Communicating intentions.
Yeah.
And I found that I've had to do that in recent years just because of the life I have, where I have to actually articulate, no, like I want to be friends with you, because a lot of people will assume and presume, which is fair. Like, I don't want to impede on her space. A lot of people are probably pulling on her, and so like they'll kind of like play the background, and I have to give them permission to say, no, you can come into this space. It's all good. And then for other people, it's kind of like, no, like you're good out there. Like we're straight.
Yeah, you can stay out there. Keep your shoes on.
No, we good. Like we'll pray for each other.
When it comes to building friendships and when it comes to like doing the hard work, how do you know where to put your energy? Like what do you see in a person that says, man, I want to put my energy here?
Yeah.
And what do you see in a person here that says, I don't want to put my friendship here?
I really matured a lot, because for a long time I had a lot of worldly reasons to be people's friend, which was like their style, or they're funny or cool, or just like super, like all of that. But what happens is that
I loved it. Did you hear what they said? She said, communicate your intentions. How often do we do that? This is what I hear all the time. The biggest killer of relationships in general is assumptions and expectations. It is unsaid assumptions and expectations are the killer of all relationships. It's they should have known. It's, well, they've always done it that way, but they did it different. Oh, why should I tell them like that? Am I a mind reader? Do I read minds? Am I God Almighty? I am not all-knowing. I cannot penetrate your thoughts. I am not Jean, telepathic from X-Men. We have to communicate our intentions because people change. How I am today is not how I was even last week to a degree. I evolve, I grow. You have to communicate your intentions, and then you have to know and be aware that when you communicate your intentions, you may not get no love. You may get resistance. So, for example, when I communicated to the two individuals that I met late last year, um, that the way we're communicating, let me say that, I'm not appreciating, because if we want to actually create a friendship, there needs to be a consistency and an intimacy that we're not currently having. I feel like I'm doing a lot of the work. I'm actually even busier than both of you. And two, it's not reciprocal. When I communicated that, it was taken as you're placing demands. Oh, that's not how me and my friends do it. Or you're making me feel bad for the way I am. You knew that's how I am, so you either got to accept it. And what was the other reason that one of them said? It's how I am. So, but kind of, you got to like it or lump it. And I said, I lump it. And I said, I'm not placing a demand on you because I'm not forcing you to be away. I'm saying, is there a way that we can come together that it benefits both of us? Because right now, this is not a worthwhile relationship for you and I. Because what it may have came across to them, because I felt a bit gaslit by one of them, because I was thinking, wait a minute, I'm not even demanding to chat to you every day. I'm just not expecting to message you on a Monday and not hear back from you for 2 weeks, because I would naturally be concerned. And when you message me, you expect an answer. And if you don't expect an answer, I give you one, because why would I not respond to you if you message me? I do understand people say, oh my God, I don't have to message people. You don't have to do anything, but you do it, right? Because it's just the very right thing to do. Somebody messages you, I respond back. It's not that simple. It's not that difficult. If you've got an avoidant attachment style, then yes, you're very much likely to feel intruded upon when you're messaged. I don't have that. I think I've got quite a secure attachment style. So when I get a message, I just respond, right? We need to stop trivializing healthy relationships. We need to stop trivializing secure attachment styles. I think because we don't see it often, we don't know it often. When somebody is secure and they make their intentions clear, it can come across demanding to another person who is insecure. And I say insecure, I mean has an insecure attachment style, which could be avoidant or anxious. And because majority of people are not secure, when a secure person, I'm only saying I'm secure over years of therapy, when a secure person says to you, this is how I like to communicate, this is what I want to gain from this friendship, it's like, oh my God, let it be organic. Why can't it flow? It's like, that's not real. We're not children anymore where you just become friends. Or can I be your friend? Okay. Or I like your dress. Okay, let's be friends. And like what she's going on to say is that there's a worldly way of just like, oh, she looks good, let's just be friends. We know that some people are just friends because they're just pretty. We're pretty girls. Some people are friends because we're scammers. Some people are friends because they're like, oh, we boops men. So some influencers are not real friends. They're friends because I got 80K, you got 90K. Let's do this thing. Let's do TikTok. Let's blow. Because every single day, an influencer friend is ending their friendship and, online, or you no longer see them together because it's fake. People are not building solid friendship because they're not being clear. People have ulterior motives. So one of the things is that people are coming to you. You're maybe assuming that they're genuine, that they care for you, but they're coming with ulterior motives to use you, right? Some people would rather not actually you be clear, but then get vexed when they find out, oh, you wanted me to get you this. It's like, well, if I told you that, you just said, oh, you're just a sponge. But if I don't tell you that, I've got an ulterior motive. Both of them are two extremes. But the point is, we need to, as adults, begin to communicate what we want from another person. When you enter into a romantic relationship, you make your intentions clear, so you're not played about, so you're not misunderstood, you're not hurt. Why don't we do that with friendships?
Those people.
My name is Scott Harrison.
Just how do people avoid ads? How do they avoid ads? So is it that I need to find that out. I need to find out how ads are avoided in this situation. That's what I've got to do. So let me present again. It's so interesting the development and growth that one goes through
Like character has to try.
in doing these. It's like my third live and just understanding how these things go. So it's just to say just a little detour. Start whatever you have in mind to do, just begin. We can overthink ourselves out of the thing that we need to do. When I wanted to do this, I said, you know what? I'm just gonna start. Like the first live, the video connection timed out. So many different things occurred, right? But we got it done, right? Then there's the second one last week, and then the third one. We're slowly growing. We're trying to get the right equipment so that we can live. We're using our webcam camera because we need to test all the other cameras, see what's the best camera, which camera can last the longest. All of these different things in the next 2-3 months, we will have that on lock. But you can't do all of that just by delaying and procrastinating your start date. So I just really want to take some time to say to you, don't overthink yourself from the very thing you need to start now.
Trump all of that.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of become my like primary thing, is that can I trust your heart? Can I trust your character? Like I don't need friends that will not teach me something. I don't need friends that will not discern things. I
Yeah.
don't need friends that cannot pray. I don't need and I'm not saying that I'm not friends with people with weird characters. I'm saying that there's a level of intimacy that I'm
Yeah.
willing to give depending on the kind of person you
That
actually
makes
are.
sense. Makes
That's
a lot
what
of
I mean.
sense. Yeah.
And so that's kind of what I look for. It's like, yeah, that.
That's good. That's real good. Like nowadays there is like this I think we talked about it previously. You were saying like how like people want like easy and like I want a soft life.
Mm-hmm.
Speak to the people who say like, man, if friendships doesn't come easy, like I don't want it. What are the dangers?
Oh, we're going to talk about soft life soon. Soft life. Because this whole soft life, you know where it originates from? It originates from Nigeria. Well, it originates from Africa, but it originates from Nigeria. The terminology, not the idea of it. The concept itself is something that is a ubiquitous term that, across the world, everybody wants to essentially have a life stress-free. But this term soft life is a term that comes from Nigeria.
You think that brings?
It's so interesting how the lexicon, the African lingo is penetrating the world, especially via music, because it obviously came through African TikTokers. And so it's just interesting how America for such a long time has had the command on the popular language, and now slowly but surely the African lexicon is being transported around the world.
That type of mentality brings.
On one hand, I think a friendship should be natural.
Yeah.
Like I do think it should be like, oh, we click, like we do vibe over certain stuff. Like if like y'all are two different people and there is no type of like connection, I ain't saying like overcome that.
Yeah.
Like that's what I'm not. So I think it should be natural. But I think for a friend, like I feel like as adults, you reach a point where there's a conflict or a misunderstanding or a disagreement, and when you reach that point, that's where the work happens.
Yeah.
Because
yes, oh my God. So basic elements of friendship, and some friendships are different. I know how I am, and I think majority of people, we look for shared commonality, right? So for example, we support Arsenal, yeah, but I'm not a diehard football fan. So if I met somebody who a lot of their life is, work, maybe like just typical person, a builder, they work in construction, they go to the pub and they play football, I probably would not be able to connect with that person because we wouldn't really have, I'm assuming so, but probably a lot in common. Unless maybe they happen to be a believer, or they liked grime, or they lived in Hackney, England. There's something else. There's a few other things that we could connect on. Maybe they love reading. But there needs to be more than one element. I've met people that read, like I'm a fantasy nerd, I'm a nerd, right? So when I meet somebody who likes Marvel or DC or reads, right, or likes Korean movies, we can talk about that. But once that is exhausted, it's like, weather. Let's talk about weather. Now, I can chat to anybody, but I'm trying to give an example as if we try to say, let's become friends outside of this, we would find ourselves finding it difficult to connect on other areas where if a lot of my close friends, all my core, my close and my top 10 friends, let me say that, my core and the extra 5 on top of that, right? So my close friends overall, majority of them are not readers. Majority of them, we don't watch the same thing. Yeah. But we have so many other core elements. So those are, what would you call them? Hobbies, little preferential stuff that when you're younger, that's very important. When you're older, no. However, if we don't have that and we don't have anything else, that's going to be difficult. But if we don't have that, but we have core values that we share, that we align with each other, it's cool. So, but me and my friends will talk about relationships each day, and we have similar views, though differences and nuances of relationships, right? We have similar, Christian values. So we agree on a lot of different things, though we might come from different angles, etc., etc. So that, and also we've got shared life. One of the things that they may talk about is most important is shared life. Shared life isn't about the length of time, right? It's not about the duration of your friendship. It's about the depth of situations and events that occur that have shared with you, and you've been in that process with me and supported me, and I've been that with yourself, right? That's what shared life is. In my struggles, are you there? In my joys, are you there? In my happiness, are you there? Are you checking upon me? Am I checking upon you? Do I think about you? Do you consider me? Do you support me wholeheartedly? Do you go to bat for me? Do I go to bat for you? So I think that the basic thing is just what we have in common. Once you get that, once you have that, there needs to be more than that. The 2 examples that I'm giving, using that to anchor the conversation, we had an organic connection. It was a connection that you don't get often, right? Well, I get that often just because I meet a lot of people and I connect, but you don't get the mutuality often. Like, I connect with a lot of people, but I know in my head, we're going to just remain associates. I'm not going to take it further, right? One, because it also takes effort. I can't make effort for additional people in my life to become core friends. I can make effort in terms of I'm building a solid network where we pull each other for resources and stuff. But in terms of friendship, but I gave these 2 people a chance, and they gave me a chance because we actually said, I think we could be really friends from this, right? So, but like I said, once I made the intentions clear and the effort wasn't reciprocal, it couldn't work. So we had, let's say there was 5 ingredients that were needed. We had 3 out of the 5. 2 were missing. It just didn't work. And many people do that. 2 key points. The person that you're building friendship with is not reciprocal and is inconsistent, but because you have a good time with the person, maybe you trauma bonded with them, like there's something that's connected to you that you feel like, oh, okay, I can overlook this. We do this in our romantic relationships. We basically miss red flags in our friendships, and then wonder why a year later, 2 years later, sometimes even 5, 10 years later, the ruptures that occur, the disagreements that are occurring cannot be mended. Now, what she goes on to talk about, I think I'm going to land my plane here. Just because it's a long video, and yes, I want to, I can talk about that another time. I can continue this video another time. Is that what she talks about is inevitably in any friendship, there's going to be what I call a rupture. Let's talk about this, right? Let's imagine this rope, right? The rope of my, what do you call it this? What do you call this? Microphone. A rupture is a cut in the microphone. The idea is that the little cut in the microphone can be mended. If it cuts straight through, that boy, they need a lot of work to get that done back, right? But what tends to happen is little ruptures doesn't really get fixed. Little ruptures. And you know what happens when little ruptures occur? It's going to eventually break. It's you missed my birthday. You didn't explain yourself. It's you got close to a friend of mine that I stopped talking to. It's you don't pick up my phone as often as possible. It's you didn't support my business. You see, these things build, right? Until they finally break. And then that's where you see relationship endings. And sometimes a lot of relationships, friends ghost each other. They just stop talking. the last word they said is, yeah, okay, cool. And then that okay, cool was 2-3 years ago. Sometimes people do January sweeps where you're blocked 1 minute, like you're like, what's going on? I think the healthiest thing to do is to tell people that, look, right now, I don't know if this relationship is going the way I would like it to go, or I just don't think we're in the same place right now. We're disconnecting. I don't know if I've got the energy to build that. You know, one relationship ended last year because the person I felt disrespected me, my husband. I did not address it. I should have. But I realized I didn't address it 'cause I didn't value her enough to address it. I just pulled back. If I pull back from you without addressing you, it means I don't value you enough to address it. I didn't care for the relationship enough. If I cared for the relationship enough, I would have actually spoken to her first and said, this is the situation, to see if it got repaired. So by the time we did address it, like 9 months later, the relationship has already been damaged because I cut her out of my life. Because it was easier for me to do that because I avoided speaking to her about it because I didn't care enough, which meant that I didn't value her enough. That's how I see it, right? That's my interpretation of when people don't sometimes confront issues. It could be lack of value of themselves, sometimes themselves or yourself, and also because they're afraid. Some people are afraid to confront because what will it mean for the relationship? Sometimes we put our head in the sand because we want to believe that we are okay. If you looked at yourself right now, looked at your friendships, it might be a hard pill to swallow to acknowledge that you haven't got anyone. That if something happened to you right now, you couldn't call upon anyone. Because some of you guys, you're living alone, living by yourself. So God forbid you hurt yourself and you've got to call somebody to come and assist you. Who would you call? Hopefully you can call your parents, you can maybe call your siblings, but sometimes you can't even do that. So the reality of the situation is that, let me say this before I say that at end, is because some of you guys have bonded with people on toxicity. So you might call your friend because you've gone to your exes and scratched their car, and you've got that one crazy friend that understands she's going to pick you up. That ain't normal behavior. That ain't, yeah, she's there for me. She is an enabler. So you have to ask yourself, do you have enablers? If you've got dysfunctional patterns, then you might have friends that are enabling your behavior, right? But for those people that recognize that, no, that's not the case that they have, but they generally do not have people that they can rely and they can call upon in those moments where you just feel like, you know what, I can't continue to hold this. I need to speak to somebody. Do you have 1, 2, 3 people to talk to? Some people don't even have 1, let alone 2 or 3 people to talk to. It isn't always others. So where I will challenge you, and you can say, oh, it's hard to trust people, but you're the common denominator. Something about you as well. It's not just other people, because I have managed to live in London all my life and find genuine souls. I don't have to wait for something bad to happen to know who's there for me in my life. I don't think, by God's grace, I won't go through that typical, is when this happened to me, because 1, things are happening to me, and people are there, and 2, I've got core friends that have been there and bad things that happen. So I don't have now I get seasonal things. There could be a season where I'm going through something and I feel certain people are not there for me. And it could be they're literally not there for me because my season and they've got their season, and we happen to have it at the same time. That does occur, and that happens. And sometimes it's different seasons, and maybe this friend was only meant to last 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. Some friendships will not last 80 years, 90 years. Some friendships will last a century. Some would last half a century. Some last 10 months. Some last 1 week. The point is, it's understanding seasons as well, and also understanding your seasons. There will be some seasons where you can't be the same way you are with all of your friends, right? So right now I'm married. My husband's very relaxed, and he's not the type of husband that's like, me. Well, we love to be each other. Like, we love to be with each other. Like, when he goes to work and he leaves, I'm at home. We're always messaging about how much we miss each other, right? But he's not the type of husband, nor am I the type of wife that when his friends go out, I come with. Like, please say don't invite me. Like, when it's a friend's wedding, I'm like, I don't want to go. Unless I know the friend. Likewise with myself, it's like, I don't need to come. Yeah, do your thing, I do my thing. Our friends come together, we do games nights, but we have separate friends and we like it like that, right? However, when I do have children, I know things are going to change. The way I was now may be different. So it's a different season. Your friends will have to adjust, and some can't. Then they drop off, and those that can will adjust with you. Obviously, you do hope that your friends do it with you, but sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes you're the first person to get married, you're the first person to have children, or you're the last person, or whatever. So it is about making an intentional effort to find friends that complement your current season. So a similar thing that I want to talk about, still on the matter of friendships before I end, is something that I saw on Instagram about a woman. You get more in the writing of the video than just what she says.
So I was supposed to have friends over tonight, and one of my goals for this year is to focus on adult friendships, and I don't know why I'm crying, it's stupid. Anyways, plans fell through. We've been planning it for literally a month, and so it was just really frustrating for me. I don't have a lot of time, and so I had to really prioritize time to make this happen, and so I'm just really frustrated now. The plans fell through, so yeah.
So you can see what
I
she
was
says
supposed to
here.
have
Her point of view is you invited 4 girls over for drinks, appetizers, and girl talk, and no one showed up. This girl planned a girls' night, and none of them showed up. And then she's crying about how the effort that she did to do this, and no one turned up. And then she says, "Oh, it's stupid." It's not stupid because it hurts. You think it's stupid because you feel embarrassed. You think it's stupid because maybe we lift up and we elevate romantic relationships above friendship. So we don't consider that relationships with friends can hurt sometimes just the same. It's hurtful. Can you imagine planning something and none of your friends turn up? We've probably all been there at one stage of our life, right? It's a very painful thing to recognize that you were not valued enough to come. Now, some people are going to say, "How do you know they weren't busy? How do you know? How do you? Ha." This, I'm not going to go into that. It's going to be another time for that conversation. But where I wanted to just talk about is, you see what she said. She wants to make time for adult relationships. She wants to make time because those friends, most likely, she's no longer going to be friends with, right? So she now needs to say, she needs to look internally into herself, take stock of herself, and say, what are elements of myself that are not good at friendship? Maybe she was not clear in her communication. Maybe she was indecisive. Maybe she was too forceful. Maybe she was XYZ. And then what are the type of friends? What do these friends have in common? Are they inconsistent? They're always chasing man. So they probably had a date. What was it? Was it that they all happened to have an emergency at the same time? Was it that they're just friends that flake on you anyways? What you've got to understand what you want from friendship. That's why I do think it's important to have a bit of a demarcation categories of friends, right? You don't have to. You can have 3 friends and that's it. Some people just have 3 friends and that's it. Everybody else is an associate. Right? Not everybody is blessed to, and I don't mean blessed in a better way. I think I am blessed. I think I'm blessed to have friends, but I know who my core friends are in that. But I have more support than most people have. So, for example, my TED Talk is happening in a couple of weeks. And I have a lot of people coming to support me, right? And maybe somebody else would only have 2 or 3 people to support them because they only really have 2 or 3 friends. And that does not make them any less or better. That's the way their scripting and patterns are in terms of building friendships. I've just been fortunate to have gone through a lot of difficult relationships in primary school and secondary school, and from university be able to cultivate good friends. Though I have friends also from secondary school that I'm very close to, majority of my core friends came from college, university, and now life. right? Majority of my friends in primary school and secondary school, no, because they were not great friends. They were inconsistent. We were toxic to each other. We were unreliable. We were gossiping each other. We were nasty. We weren't really real friends, right? So I love people that have friends from primary school. Like, I don't have that. I've got two core friends from secondary school, and I'm cool with a lot of people, but I haven't got like group of girls from secondary school. Likewise with college, and bit of university, right? So my encouragement with her is, look, recognize that this is a good life lesson, a painful one, but a good life lesson to learn now rather than later. You're young. You can really learn to cultivate healthy adult relationship that is first and foremost based on intimacy, trust, consistency, mutuality, reciprocity, and wrapped up with that selflessness and sacrifice. Without that, you're not going to have true healthy relationships, which includes parental, familial, that includes your siblings, work colleagues, business, and of course, romantic. Drop your comments, like, share, and subscribe. Tell me what you think about friendships. Look, I could have gone on and on and on. There's so much to say. I might finish the video again, but I am passionate about talking about all relationships, especially platonic ones, because I think technically, if we get married, you might have many romantic relationships. When you get married, you have one romantic partner. You have more platonic relationships than you have romantic. So we should actually spend probably more time talking about they're both important. One's not more important than the other, but I just want to push out the importance of platonic friendships and relationships. So thank you so much for joining this broadcast. Like, share, and subscribe. Tell me what you think. Tell me about your friendships. Have you been able to cultivate healthy adult relationships? Have you got friendships from when you were in school or primary school, elementary school, whatever you want to call that? Are you a loner? And are you happy to be a loner? Or there's a part of you that wishes you had friends, but you're scared of getting hurt? You've had really bad experiences with friendships, especially the same sex, right? A lot of girls say they can't be friends with a lot of girls, right? Where does that come from? Why do people say that? What does that mean? Yeah, let me know in the chat box, and I shall see you in the next broadcast.